Jill, what's going on? You got your boy Quan John, and we got Miss Portia Mystique. Say what up? What up?
Hi.
Yeah, yeah. And this is Motivational Motives, where we talk to inspirational people that had overcome adversity en route to prosperity. Today, we have a very, very interesting topic. You know what I mean? Like always, we're gonna be
Always.
talking about always we have, we keep it juicy here. We keep it funky and filthy and educational at the same time. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? We want to talk about the 10 of the Black community, the
Say that
10
one more
myths that
time.
me and Portia probably, the 10 myths of the Black community, the 10 things that we really, really thought we knew to be true, and they are not. You know what I'm saying? For real. I know they're going to be feeling that, Portia.
They
You
are.
know what I mean?
They're gonna be like, what?
So how did you feel when you did your research of these myths that we're going to talk about? How did you feel about it?
I okay, like a few of them, I was like, okay, that makes sense, or I get that, or maybe I already knew that. But I have a few of them. I was like, I was in so much disbelief that even after hearing the truth, I was like, that's not real. like, like I'm reading the truth. I have the truth right in front of me, and it's like I've spent my whole life believing this one thing. Like the entire Black community, we have spent generations believing this one thing, and to have it not be true is like,
Yeah,
ah
it's a
man, I
lot of
didn't want to accept it.
for real. A lot of hypocrisy passed down from our predecessors, and and it was passed down from their predecessors. And now, we can't blame them,
They didn't
because
know.
definitely a liar all
No.
day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
Definitely.
check without further ado, let's get down to number 10. All right, number 10. The myth that people believe if you have
Mm-hmm.
fine textured, quote unquote, good hair, that means you got Indian in your family.
Okay, one more time. So if the myth is if I have good textured hair, like fine straight hair, I
Right?
must have Indian in my family.
You
Why
know
do
what?
people
Back,
believe that?
I don't know. Our Black people feel like, when they come across somebody, a Black person, you know what I mean, that has hair down the hair and things of that nature, that they must have Indian in their family. You know what I mean? And that's actually a spit in our faces. As the, you know what I mean, as saying that a Black person has to be a part of another race to have some type of texturized, quote unquote, good hair. That's a spit in our face. But I'm gonna tell y'all something. It doesn't take Indian to be in your family to have good hair. Okay, it takes things like protein, which comes from eggs. You know what I mean? It takes things like iron, which comes from spinach or collard greens. And I know y'all like collard greens. We about to tear that up tomorrow on Thanksgiving too. You know, it takes it takes a healthy intake of A, C, and E vitamins. The E vitamin has zinc in it. The C vitamins you can get from carrots. All right, things of that nature. All right, and also it takes less stress. Okay, that's another thing that we don't think about. All right,
Mhm.
the fact that we are so stressed in our communities, it affects our look. It affects our hair. You know what I mean? So like we spoke about in a previous podcast, go to therapy, decrease your level of stress. You understand? It will help the way you look. It will help the way you feel. Because they say if you feel good, you look good. And if you look good, you think effectively. You know what I'm saying? So that was my number 10 myth on having Indian in your family. And I'm a culprit of this. I actually used to relax my hair. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you want to know something? It actually damaged my hair. My hair is actually getting back to its healthy form. It took me about 3 years without relaxing my hair to get it back to its healthy form. And then another thing you can do, oil your hair regularly and massage it for 5 minutes. I'm telling you. And then, you'll have Indian in your family.
Yes.
All
Natural
right?
hair care products by Q. Number 9. My myth. Number 9. Y'all know, I mean, if you watch all the episodes, I'm very proud of my husband's heritage, right? So everything I talk about always comes back to
Okay.
Africa.
All right.
Yes. to my handsome husband. So
That's right.
Myth number 9, that Africa is one of the smallest of the 7 continents. So
I mean, I thought it was myself. I'm not gonna lie.
are you serious?
Yes.
See, I was just about to say that I feel like a lot of white people believe that, but I thought maybe black people kind of knew. But no, I guess
Because
they
you
don't.
want to know, you know what? Want to know why I believe that? The fact that they outnumber us in America, I thought that's global.
No.
You understand?
Let me tell y'all. What I want
Please.
y'all to do right now is just hop on Google and Google search realistic map of the world. This map will give you a satellite. I mean, this search will give you the satellite images of the globe, the world. Okay. And they have flattened it out so you can see it linear. And you will see the 7 continents of the earth. And Africa is the largest by landmass. You know, growing up, every globe we ever saw, every map we ever saw in school, you always see Asia, real huge. Europe, really big. North America, huge. South America is not all that big. Australia is tiny. Antarctica takes up the whole bottom. And Africa was just kind of in there. Okay, Africa, on the maps that I grew up seeing, Africa was not bigger than North America. It wasn't.
Right.
But look at that realistic map. Africa is the biggest continent. And I'm not talking about, like, when you look at the map, you'll see Europe and Asia together, because on the realistic map, the lands are, you know, very close. There's no ocean in between the two. But remember that those two are separate. So if you're looking at the map, you look at the top right-hand corner, remember that Europe and Asia are separated. Those are considered 2 different continents. If you look at that and then you look at Africa, you see that Africa is actually the size of Europe and Asia together.
Wow.
So that, just debunk that myth for yourself. Just look at a satellite image of the globe and you will see that Africa is the biggest continent by landmass. And you could say, I mean, we are all thinking the same thing. Well, why did we grow up thinking that Africa was some small continent? You already know why. We don't need to talk about it. You already know why. But there's that truth for you.
Number 8. We're gonna talk about the truth behind Thanksgiving, and we're gonna keep this short. You know what I'm saying? It's like this. Now, the Native Americans. Now, people, when they say Native, can we agree that every living race has come from a black person? We know that, and the Native Americans, they aren't exempt from that. The Native Americans were made because black people and some people by the name of the Folsom people, they breeded. Thus, they made Native Americans. Okay, all right. I guess that's where the tan skin comes from, and maybe the bone structure comes from the Folsom people. These black people were we were in existence 10,000 years before the Native Americans. Okay, so we are the Native people first and foremost. Okay, so when they heard what's this guy's name? What's this guy? Christopher Columbus. That guy. When he came here and discovered America. Okay, well, it got back to the Europeans that there was a lot of land and resources over here. All right. So the Pilgrims, keep that in mind. The Pilgrims came over here in about what was it? Was it around 1690? Well, he discovered in 1492, and maybe about 100 years after that, the Pilgrims came and they tried to capture their land and resources, but they played like they were just coming here for religious purposes. You know what I mean? They was nothing but Protestants. You know what I mean? So they got over here and see all the land and the resources. And at that time, the wild turkey was actually their food of choice, that and corn. So this actually fed them. Okay, they really had no choices of any other food. It was the wild turkey and corn. Okay, so after about 20 or 30 years of them basically sowing the royal oats, they said, you know what, we got to change our name because we want to be labeled as another group. So that's when they changed to the colonizers, and that's where the 13 colonies comes from. Okay, they discovered the 13 colonies, which they were already in existence. You know what I'm saying? So after about maybe 100 more years, they turned their name into the Europeans. You see how they have been changing their names, and I'm getting to a point. And around the 1600s, they changed their name to white people. Okay, and this is very, very important because you have some people that don't like to call themselves black people. Okay, because it's crazy because when you call yourself black, you're making yourself distinctly different from a white person. You're not African American. Okay, you are not a minority. You are not a person of color. You are black. Okay, because that's what they did. You know why they did that? Because they said they were proud of their skin color. You know what I'm saying? Unlike some black people that are not proud of their skin color, that don't call themselves black people. Okay, so around 16 in the mid 1600s, when your man Abraham Lincoln, which we'll touch on him a little bit, he was the one that actually created this holiday of Thanksgiving. He actually got the idea from George Washington, and he wanted people that had resources. Okay, he wanted the people that had resources to come together on one particular day and give thanks to God and say, you know what, we all love each other, and let's get money together. Meaning Thanksgiving had nothing to do with black people, because you want to know something? Black people actually replaced the turkey. Okay, we became the food, symbolically speaking. Okay, because after the wild turkey was done away with, the black people, we became the food. Why? Because we became their form of getting money and eating. Okay, we worked for them, we slaved for them. Or that's how they ate, because we worked our asses off. So we became the wild turkey, so to speak. All right, and you know, some people think that Abraham Lincoln was on our side. Abraham Lincoln wasn't a bona fide racist. He just was a person that didn't want to expand racism. Okay, so he is quoted as saying that he is not an abolitionist, and he takes pride in the white culture. Okay, so you know, basically he said, I'm not a racist, but I don't like black people either. All right, so that's basically the history behind Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was not for us because we were the brunt of the joke. Okay, because we became the wild turkey. It was based on labor, slavery, and racism. It was for the people that had resources. All right. So that's myth number 8, Thanksgiving. I'm still gonna eat tomorrow though, but I know the historical background of it. It wasn't for me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right?
So black people thought that Thanksgiving.
I didn't hear you.
Black people thought that Thanksgiving was for them.
I know some black people that don't even know where the term Thanksgiving comes from. You know what I mean? And they really they got this myth about, you know, they know it's about a turkey, and they know the pilgrims and all that, but they don't know the historical background. I didn't know that Abraham Lincoln put it into existence. You know, when I was in school, I thought a pilgrim came here and he had some Indian friends and they got together and they was cool out. You know what I mean? No, it wasn't like that. You know what I mean? Abraham Lincoln, he put it into existence for people with resources to give thanks to their God. We didn't have resources, so it wasn't for us. You know why? Because we served the food. Okay, we weren't at the dinner table,
but yes,
we served food. All right, so that had nothing to do with us.
Right.
Okay.
All
right. And if you want to know the whole story about Thanksgiving, you know what I mean, look up Dr. Claude Anderson Thanksgiving. Search Dr. Claude Anderson Thanksgiving on YouTube, and you'll get the whole brunt of the story around Thanksgiving.
Number 7. The myth that only black people have sickle cell anemia.
Yep, you know what? Until right now, I believe that. Did you not believe that before you researched it?
I believed it. I'm letting y'all know. A lot of these myths were things that I believed, and I just Googled it to see if I was right or wrong. And turns out sickle cell was one of them.
Do tell, please.
Okay, so everybody, we can all agree that we were dumb and thought that only African Americans or Africans, whatever, only Africans could get sickle cell anemia. It turns out that's not true. There are many Hispanic Americans who can develop sickle cell anemia or be born with it. There are a lot of South American countries. They can get sickle cell anemia. Now here's why. Now, okay, it is not known for Caucasians to have the sickle cell trait. From my research, and I would love for people to tell me if I'm wrong, because I do not claim to know this 100%. This is just research. I have no prior knowledge.
Right.
But from what I've learned, you can end up with sickle cell, or sickle cell ended up becoming a thing because, I'm sorry, let me break it down. So to have sickle cell, that means that your red blood cells are misshapen. They're not formed properly.
Right.
You know, they're supposed to be a circle, right? Red blood cells are like this. And those who have sickle cell anemia, the blood cells or a crescent moon. I try to do it with my fingers. It don't work. A crescent moon is what the blood cell is like, the red blood cell. So upon my research, the sickle cell trait became a thing for people who came or originated from countries that are prevalent in malaria, that have malaria. So the sickle cell trait was almost like a way to naturally fight the malaria virus. Now we know you get malaria from mosquitoes. We know it's not fun. I have malaria before. It's not fun. But so those who have sickle cell are actually better equipped to fight the malaria virus.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So that's why, and you know, malaria is only a thing in like African countries and South American countries.
That's right. In my wife's country, right.
Right. Malaria is not in like Europe or Asia or anything like that. No. So if the sickle cell trait was a natural way to battle malaria, it would stand to reason that only people from African descent or South American descent would end up with the sickle cell trait. And so if you look at us in America, the thing is like 1 in every 13 Black Americans will end up with sickle cell. But it's
really?
Yes, 1 in 13 will end up with the sickle cell trait. You have to find out your genotype. And if your genotype matches with, you have like the sickle cell trait in your genotype, and the person that you're getting with also has that trait, then your child will definitely have sickle cell anemia.
You know what I think, and I thank you for that, because you actually cleared it up, because I think that's where we as Black people got it twisted. Now, I think we got us having the trait and us actually having anemia.
Right.
Like that twisted. We went through that.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly. So that
basically is more prevalent, is more possible for us to have the trait as opposed to us being actually anemic.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
So understand what I'm saying is not that, you know, we'll have the disease itself, but you have the trait that will help you pass it on to your children if you get with somebody who also has the trait.
Right. And the trait actually will help you fend off malaria. Having the trait.
Yes.
Good thing.
Right.
Good thing. Okay.
That's why
bad things happen for good reasons.
Huh?
All right. Bad things happen for good reasons. It's bad to have the trait, but the trait is, you know, is preventing something else.
Right. So when you procreate, you just have to be careful, because you don't want to get with somebody, like if you have the sickle cell trait, which is the genotype for, you know, your blood genotype. If you have the trait, you can't get with somebody who has the trait, because your child will have it.
You know what? That actually is a sidebar. This is just a question. How do you feel about let's say a couple that's trying to have a child? How do you feel about the woman or the husband asking their spouse, you know what, I want us to do some genetic testing to see what's going on before we actually procreate? Do you feel like the spouse should be offended, or you feel like, you know, it's a good thing?
Because where my husband's from in Nigeria, that's what they do. That's what you have to do. So both me and my husband went and specifically got tested to check our genotype to make sure when we procreate, our children won't end up with sickle cell anemia.
That's wow. So that's a thing in Africa. That's normal to do.
It's normal. It's like, you know, for us, my husband was very surprised when I told him I didn't know my genotype.
Because over here we're not supposed to know that.
We don't
know why? Because we're not taught to know thyself in North America.
Huh?
We're not taught to know thyself in North America. That's why we don't know these things.
We don't. Like for the longest, I didn't even know my blood type.
Wow.
Like it's
what
crazy.
Is your I'm going to guess. You're O positive.
I don't remember.
Number 6.
Number six.
The number 6 myth in the black community is that the stock market is only for white.
Say that one more time.
I'm going to say it one more time. Black people think the stock market and stock market investment is only for white people.
Isn't that crazy?
And you want to know something? It's because their predecessors, grandma told you, don't be putting your money over there. They're going to steal it from you. You know what? Put it over here in this bank, all right? And you want to know what happens? You're going to put that $100 in the savings account on January 1st, and then you're going to go back and see it on December 31st, and you're going to have a whopping $102.
That is
okay, ladies and gentlemen, please believe me. The S&P 500 is the 500 biggest companies in North America. You can invest your pocket change. You can invest your tools and fuels, okay? We're going to do a quick mathematical equation. I just want to show you the power of the stock market.
Okay.
Hey, Portia, do you have access to like a calculator somewhere in there? You could put some numbers in for me?
I got my cellular device.
All right. Okay. Now, let's say your mother. She said, you know what? I'm gonna save $50 a month for my 10-year-old until they're 20. Let's say that, right? So she's gonna save $50 a month for 10 years, right?
Yep. That's right. $6,000.
Hold up now. Hold on. Let's take it slow. People, okay. we want to take the process slow. $50 a month, 50 times 10, that's 10 months, that's 500. 50 times 12, that's $600, right?
Right.
$600. Now 600 times 10 is $6,000. So mommy, you know what? She scraped her tools and fuels and she said, okay, now he's 20 years old, he's in college, and he has $6,000. And she says to let's call him Jasper. Jasper, I have $6,000 for you, and I want you to put it in the stock market, and you can't touch it at all. Okay, so Jasper does that. He puts his $6,000 in the stock market. He's 20 years old. Okay, all right. Now, as I said, if you put your $100 in the savings account, you're gonna get a 2% interest. That's why you only got $2 at the end of the year. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now the stock market works a little bit differently. The amount of money that you're gonna make or not make, it's not certain. Okay, and I think that's where a lot of people, black people, get nervous. They're like, I'm not putting my money nowhere that is not certain. But come on now, when you wake up, it's not certain that you're gonna wake up in the morning. But do you say I'm gonna not go to sleep because I might not wake up? No, you take your ass to sleep, right? Because you know, okay, God is gonna wake me up, and I want you to have faith in the stock market the same way. I'm gonna put my money here because my money's gonna do well. So Jasper puts his $6,000 in the stock market, and we're gonna do a quick mathematical equation. Now, the stock market historically for the last 100 or 120 years has it's called our ROI, a return of investment rate of about 8%. Okay, I mean, if you put your money here, you'll get historically you'll get an 8% return on it. Okay, so we're gonna do a mathematical equation. Okay, so check it out. I want you to put 0.08. That's the 8%. Okay. Mm-hmm. 1.08. That's the year, and that's the return of interest.
Yeah.
Return investment 1.08. So let's take that number now. So what Jasper mother do? She said he says, you know what? I'm gonna keep this 6,000 in there for 5 years, and I'm not gonna touch it. 1.08. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's his return of interest. Meaning this is gonna tell him how much money, you know, this is gonna tell me how much money he should be getting added to his $6,000. Okay?
Right.
So I want you to do 1.08 to the 5th power. That's 5 years. That's how long his $6,000 is gonna stay there.
It's 1.46. Then you said times 6,000.
Thank you. Times 6,000. What do we have?
8,815.
Okay. 8,815. So if Jasper puts his money in the stock market for 5 years, his $6,000 without touching it, he will have $8,815. That's without touching it.
Right.
So I'm looking at, if my math serves me correctly, that's about $2,800. That's about $2,800.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's how much has accumulated in his sleep. He didn't do nothing with it. For that same 5 years, he wouldn't have accumulated that. He probably just if I had to do the math on top of my head, he probably would have accumulated the 20, 40, he probably accumulated maybe $100. Okay? So putting that $6,000 in the stock market. Now let's take it a step. I'm going to tell you something about compound interest real quick. Now, the stock market is about 3 things. It's about diversifying your money, putting your money in Nike, putting your money in Zoom, putting your money in Facebook, putting your money in Google. You know why do you do that? Because if Facebook folds, Google, Nike, and Zoom will hold down your money. Okay? That's why you want to diversify your bread. Okay? Another thing you want to do. You want to be consistent. Okay? So that's why if you're going to invest. If you want to invest $20 a month, do $20 a month. Put $20 aside. You know what you do with that 20. You what do you do with $20? You could lose $20 a day, and you wouldn't even be angry. So why not put that $20 for your future?
Right.
Okay. $20. What would $20? What would $20 in a month do for you?
It would buy me pizza.
It does nothing. It will buy you pizza for one day. What you gonna do for the other 30 days? You got to buy more pizza. All right. So it's about diversifying your money. It's about being consistent, and it's about time, which we're gonna prove right now. Okay. It's about over a long haul, and that's what a lot of Black people don't know about the stock market. If you want to get your money, if you want to get rich tomorrow, don't invest in the stock market. If you don't plan to invest in a single stock for at least 10 years, do not invest in the stock market. But if you are like me and like other people that are thinking about when I'm 50, that are thinking about when I'm 60, that are thinking about when I'm 70, you know what I mean? If you're like that and you're thinking long-term wealth and you want to pass on money to your children, invest in the stock market. It's a real easy, passive way to do it. Okay, so check it out really quickly. This is what we're going to do. Now, remember that 8815. That's how much you got in 5 years, right?
Yes.
Now, real quick, we're gonna move on to number 5. Let's say 1.08 times, let's say 10. Now that means 10 years of ROI, of return of investment. 10 years. Tell me what that number is.
2.15.
All right. Now time that by his 6,000.
12,953.
Woo.
What?
So
is that
now,
right?
Huh?
Is that right?
How much is
12,953. Yeah.
Okay, so that's almost $13,000. Now, Jasper, if he had put his 6,000 in there and didn't touch it for 10 years, he has more than doubled his money. Okay, now check it. Look what he did. In the first 5 years, it only gave him 2,800. Okay, but in another 5 years, it gave him 7,000 more. So basically, the longer you keep that money there, it keeps on getting longer and longer and longer. Just because you got this 2,800 in the first 5 years, that next 5 years, you're going to get 5,000. And then you want to know what's going to happen with that 15 years? You're going to get 10,000. In that 20 years, you're going to get 30, 40,000. Okay? So that was my quick little tutorial on the stock market. You can go to Robinhood.com. You can go to Acorns, where they can just take the money, $25 out of your bank account on the first of every month, and you can just let it stack and grow and forget about it. Or if you really want to start investing into companies yourself, you can go to Robinhood.com and you can come on this ride of building wealth.